Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the Halal Perspective. We're going to be talking about reading the Quran, addictions, and maybe sprinkle on a little bit of, other Islamic topics. So first we're going to start off with addictions. Now, addictions suck, obviously. Everyone goes through them. If some men go through shameful addictions, some women go through shameful addictions. Sometimes addictions are hard to deal with. And sometimes, let's say you're a convert. It's hard to deal with stuff you've done before, but now that you've converted, it's hard to deal with, like drinking alcohol. There's very easy steps. Now, of course, stopping the addiction is always going to be a little hard, but there's very easy steps you can take. I first recommend that this is for your own good. Now you might be like, well, yeah, of course, but like, it's just my urges, or I just can't help myself. And this can go for anything. This go for prawn addiction, alcohol, drugs, pork. Like let's say you loved bacon, but now you're like, oh man, I miss bacon. You can you can always you can always think about why it's bad for you. Second option is substitute it. So let's say you were addicted to, it's not addicted to, but you just really want bacon. Eat some halal beef bacon, beef brisket bacon, lamb bacon, any bacon that just isn't made by pork. Try that. Try substitutions, and for alcohol. Let's say you just really want some alcohol, right? Well, replace it with water. You might be like, well, no, I don't like water. Replace it just with another drink. Maybe some Zamzam water. Maybe some good Zamzam water can help you out. Of course, last but not least, pray. Praying and making dua. Oh yes. Make sure to make dua and pray. Because of course, pray because making dua, you cannot really do this yourself. You must make dua and ask Allah for help. This is the most important option for you to do. Now, moving on, other than addictions, we'll talk about reading the Quran. As you can see, there's a nice Quran picture in front of us. This is super important in Islam. For me, I still struggle with this. I still find I am sometimes lazy and do not read Quran. And it is fine if you don't read if you cannot read Arabic. I don't read Arabic. But there's always something. Read it in your language or the language you know. Right now, I speak mostly English, so I read the English Quran. Of course, I have some trouble with this. So read it in a time when you're bored. And you might be like, yeah, but like, that's kind of rude, isn't it? True, of course, it is. It is better to do it out of love. But let's say it's hard for you to do it. Do it when you're bored, or like you have nothing to do, because because it makes you feel so much better. If you have a strong iman, a strong faith, you will read it just out of the love for Allah. But of course, baby steps. This is how I started out, and I'm still working on this. So don't think like I'm good at this either. I'm still working on this. Like a year ago, I wouldn't even pray. Isn't that crazy? I wouldn't even do my prayers. So remember, you always gotta focus in, because Quran is so important, you guys. So important. Last topic for us is the Day of Judgment. Now might be like, why something to sprinkle in there? Here's the thing. The Day of Judgment is something you always need to keep in mind. I'm pretty sure there's a Quran verse about this, and I'll pop it up on the screen if I can find it. But it says that every time you remember your death, Allah will reward you. Or you remember the that you will die one day. So you don't take this dunya as for granted, and you will always do your prayers and do everything. Because when the Day of Judgment comes, that's when you can't pray anymore. If you pray, Allah's not gonna accept it. What is it called? When you pray, when you ask Allah for help, Allah's not gonna help you. Everything you did before, that's where Allah is gonna judge you. And Allah, of course, Allah is so merciful. Because if you didn't try at all, or you didn't like do good, I'm sorry, bro. You're going to Jahannam. Now, it's not up to me. course. And even me, if I did all my prayers, if I was the perfect human, I mean, other than Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, let's say I was just a really good person who would pray nothing else, pray, do all hadith, zakat, everything. I can still go to Jahannam. You want to know why? Because you don't go to Jahannam out of your good deeds or bad deeds. You go out of the mercy of Allah. The reason that there are good deeds and bad deeds is so because they're going to be in front of you. And if you have more good deeds, Allah will look at that and see, maybe, sure, I will send you to Jannah out of my mercy because you tried for me. But if I become arrogant and I was like, oh, what, I did all this, so you should send me to Jannah. No, I'm not going to Jannah if that's if I do. So inshallah, Allah gives us all mercy, and inshallah we all do our prayers and our Quran. Um, I think that's all there is for this video. But thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.